Well, Stephen, you obviously had a mountain to climb at half-time. What do you feel went wrong in the first half?
Well, I think we're comprehensively outplayed. I think Beşiktaş sort of definitely far superior to us in the game, and we were second best. We didn't bring the level of physical intensity that we need to. We were well off it in the first half, well off them physically, and we're very disappointed to lose in that manner in the first half. Very disappointed to lose in that manner. Yes, there was one or two contentious ones, the penalties, minimal contact. I don't think probably not a penalty. Joe's goal is disallowed, or Tom's goal. Again, he's probably been, they could have let go to VAR even, but it would have only papered over the fact that we were outplayed, and I think so that's how I saw the first half.
The changes at half-time and the move to 5 at the back made it a very different game in the second half. In preparation, had you thought about going with that system from the off?
No, I hadn't. No. So obviously you consider everything, but we were struggling to deal with their front four, to be honest, and we needed to make sure that we defend our goal better. Like, we needed to defend our goal, and like we're defending our lives, not the way we did in the first half. So I think I wasn't happy with the first half at all. So we didn't give up, apart from late, we didn't give up any chances really then in the second half, apart from late on, and obviously Simon scored a good goal and a couple of other good chances, but which we would have liked to take and just make the scoreline closer. But I said to the players at half time that that we were hugely disappointed in the first half, but we needed to, if we weren't careful, we get a severe hiding here, but we need to try and win the second half, and definitely do that, and we did that, which is something, but it's not enough, obviously. To the first half, we were well beaten, and they played very well, and we defensively we couldn't do with them.
How worried were you at half-time that this could be a pretty embarrassing night?
Well, we just were determined not to make that happen. I think the players were determined, and they showed determination not to make that happen, but obviously the damage had been done in the first half.
You mentioned the physicality there. Is that just a difference in quality, a difference in physical shape of the players, or was it just mentally they weren't at it from the start?
Well, we did struggle to deal with Abraham, for sure, and I think generally their movement in front of that, we didn't close spaces, and we just didn't bring a level of intensity, and they ran off for a couple of goals. Could have been defended much better from our point of view.
To win 4-1 away in Europe is never easy. We see in the second half what could have happened in the first half if we didn't start the game properly. But we did. We played really, really well in the first half an hour, 35 minutes. Controlled the game, took the game to them, created chances, could have scored 6 or 7. But then second half, of course, when they play towards their fans, they get the one goal, they get the momentum. You're always under pressure. That will always happen in a away game in Europe. So I was pleased the way we took the control back after that 15-20 minutes. So overall, very pleased with the performance. Well, no, I thought we played really well. I know what my team is capable of when they're on and when they're focused. Of course, we had a disappointment in the previous round in Europa League, so they were determined to get a good start, and that's for me a great feeling when I can see them being on like this, because we know that second half, if we don't start properly, that's how games like this can be. So I wouldn't say that they made it easy. I think we made it. We deserved to get the goals we had because we played really well. Of course, they changed the system second half, bit of their approach, and They made it harder for us to go through the middle, of course, with a back five, and the second half was a very good contest for some of my players, a learning contest for some of my players. We could have been more effective. We could have scored more goals in the first half. Second half, as I said, you know, when you are in Europe, away, they have fans. They play towards their own fans. It was like we had to make a change with Jonas. Typhoon was maybe just a little bit out of position. They play one ball in behind us, score a goal. They get more momentum. They had one more big chance when Mert had a very good save. So but that's what you expect. So I wouldn't say it was a weakness in defense. I think we lost control with the ball that gave them the opportunities to attack. Well, you know, sometimes it's when you're at home in Europe, or any game really, and maybe you think that the opposition is favourite, you have a quandary. You know, you have to ask yourself a question: do you stick with what your normal game plan is, or do you change? I've been on that wrong end of that stick a few times at home. You know, you go a little bit too open because you have a duty for your fans as well and for your players, because you believe in one way of playing. I don't think there's still 11 players in each team, so it's just different spaces that appear. So, but they closed down the back line in the second half, but still we did have a few opportunities. So no, I can't say that I did expect that, but I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know what. Yeah, no, you know, he's got a bright future ahead of him. He keeps making the runs, keeps getting in the good areas, and one of the things I like most about him is his attitude of the pressing, that he does his defensive job as well. Second half, he probably was tasked to sit on one of our midfielders, and he does that job. No, so Tottenham's made a good signing.